getting the spirit in the dark.
A critical point that you mentioned, and I wanted to come back to it some time ago, and you brought it back up again, is that is about growing in relationships. And many times people think that when they come together, this is it. The songs say this is the perfect one. And we don't think about relationships being those moments to grow. That is still a perpetual growing process. That through this relationship, we had children. The children raised me as I raised them. Yes. So they elevated me to a position of parenthood. So without them, I would not have had that same kind of position or status. And so that comes in the context of relationships. So it is a continual growing process. In that, I want to go back to the historical element that you mentioned about the healing and looking at the MAAFA and being familiar with the MAAFA. And because of that experience, understanding that at some level there's insanity in the fact that we're able to be here.
Would you do me a favor? Just define MAAFA.
I was thinking about
The MAAFA is the...
Spell it too.
MAAFA. It's the African Enslavement Experience. It's a term that was coined by Dr. Marimba Ani and also advanced by Dr. Asa Hule, Kiswahili term, which means great suffering or great calamity.
And why is it not the slave trade?
So the reason for using MAAFA is that we have to take agency with describing our situation. Mm-hmm. And so we talk about the slave trade, which sounds like swapping baseball cards.
Right.
When we go back and we deal with the horrific events that took place, and we talk about some of those, it was not a trade at all. When we talk about the Middle Passage, it sounds like walking down a hallway. Mm-hmm. And so the Middle Passage was not that. When we talk about individuals, one part of the story where women were carrying, after the village had been pillaged, carrying ivory and other things on their heads, and then having the babies on their backs. And then the women were beginning to crumble under the pressure of all the weight. The oppressors said, take off the ivory, put the babies, line them up against the tree, and they speared all the children one by one, and they said, now pick up your lighter load and let's move forward. That's not a middle passage. That's a walk of hell. So we talk about how do we define our situation. And also you talk about the numbers, and I don't like to deal with numbers, but to compare struggles, but they say 6 million or so Jews died in the Holocaust, which means that ours can't be a black Holocaust when you talk about 100 million people. Mm-hmm. So if 6 million is a Holocaust, what do you call 100 million people? And then a continual process. It wasn't like there was an event and it stopped. Right. We're talking about hundreds of years of the same phenomena, and some of it still exists today.
The vestiges.
So that's it's called the MAAFA, to give it some grounded within an African cosmology, ontology, and epistemology. It grounded within the African reality.
Yes, and it's crucial to look at the magnitude of the suffering in order to understand what we bring home with us today. And I often say, and I think it's one of the things that we talked about in Love Lessons in our first book, that when you go to bed at night, you think you have two people in the bed. Mm-hmm. You probably got about, let's see, grandma, grandpa, great-grandma, great-grandpa on both sides, as far back as you can go, because they never had a chance to heal. When you talked about there was no period of healing right after the enslavement experience, this is the only country where the African slave experience ended and the slave owners and the former slaves went on to live side by side. This is the only country. You know, if you go to Brazil, go to the Caribe, go to okay, do you understand what I'm saying? So for us to go on living side by side with people who for generations have been brainwashed to believe we were subhuman,
and that they
and we had been brainwashed to believe we were subhuman. There's a need for a tremendous amount of healing, and at home, in a marriage, how do we support one another in that healing as spouses, in terms of, because I really loved what you said about spirituality being the core of the connection. I mean, how do we do that?
And right there, that's right where I was going earlier. That is, looking at those experiences and beginning to connect with essence, with being. Who am I? Not only define self in the context of the trauma, but what kind of person could survive that trauma? what is it about me that allowed me to get through that? Why am I even here? And so then we talk about giving thanks and praise to the wombs through which we've passed. That becomes a part of that ritual. We talk about every female that is born with all the eggs that she'll ever carry, which means that every mother that gives birth to a female child gives birth to a grandchild at the same time. So when you talk about all of those people,
because we have to say it slowly, because when he first said it to me, I was like, huh? What are you saying? So and then I had to envision it. Okay, if a woman is born with all the eggs that she'll ever have, so a girl child being born, but the girl child was carried inside a mother. So the mother that carried the girl child also carried her grandchildren, because she has all the seed. See, and we have a sample in the audience, and every time I say it, she looks like, say it again. You are carrying a child, right? If that child is a girl child,
It is.
okay, you're carrying a girl child. The girl child will be born with all the eggs that she'll ever have. You are carrying that child, the girl child, with the eggs. You're not only carrying the eggs, you're carrying the girl child who's also in possession of her eggs.
which means her mother in the back actually carried the child that you're carrying right now.
Wow.
Which means that maternal line is so strong. So the way that you carry your child, the energies that you have, the emotions that you're carrying are embedded in that child and in the next generation. So now, well, it wasn't until I carried a child until I really understood of hearing older people say you can mark your baby, which means that you can place some sensitivities on a child based on your current situation. So it behooves you to be happy. It behooves you to be confident, to give praise, to give everything that you want good to come out of 2 generations that you have.
To be beautiful.
Yes.
So, and one of the things that I said when I was pregnant the first time, and I don't even remember what it was that was happening, but my mantra became no room in the womb for chaos, confusion, and just plain nonsense. So I would let nothing get in to what I was doing right now. It was the most important thing to me. No room in the womb. Now, you're pretty full right now, right? So you don't have any room for anything to come in here
Yes.
that will take you out of this task that you have, because the girl child is a woman. So, and if you think about the importance of what we're doing when we carry life, that's reverence. Because the way that you carry this child, you're preparing her for something. She's hearing what we're talking
That's
about.
right.
She's feeling
That's right.
emotionally before she was born.
That's right.
So you're not looking for her to be born and say, I don't know nothing about nothing.
And just in case you think this is just what the ancestors learned or just the wisdom of a mother, science has proven everything that she just said. Now,
When the night has come and the land is dark